So one day I'll be hidden in Venice somewhere, and I'll be able to give speeches on fine art, like Hannibal Lecter, when the world gets its shit together. And in the meantime, I know my videos aren't entertaining and very visual, so I'm trying to use some things up here with something. This is a painting. I don't know if it's by a few people. The person that painted Jesus, this character. Some of these characters are clearly differently painted by a different artist, probably the actual credited artist who painted Jesus and painted this person here. This person here looks like he's turning away from it, but I actually think it's a separate person. I think this person is completely bent down and masturbating on top of Jesus. Anyway, this temple is called like the overrunning, the sacking of Jesus' temple. And when Israel is reborn, if you watch my other videos, you know what I mean. The temple, Babylon, known as Babylon, which is overrun at this time by merchants and powerful people, they'll all wake up with the psychic kind of realm. This isn't actually a really realm a painting. This painting is a depiction of a realm. So it's his temple, it's his orrery, it's a star. And when he reclaims Israel, a lot of people lose out on power. A lot of people just wake up covered in dry cum, and the world is falling into oblivion and destruction and perdition around them. And this is seen in Revelations. They're all standing off in Babylon saying, what will we do now? We can't trade, we can't do this. We've lost everything because we've lost part of the temple. So immediately after, you'll see a conquest. They'll reign out like royalty do, and like America does to the Middle East, and they'll conquest, and they'll try and take it all back home, bring it all back home. And maybe for a good reason, but maybe usually for a shit reason. See, the second we see Jesus' fresh temple here, it's like a Davidic temple, being overrun. We see wisdom, the wise angels, they're getting up and leaving instantly. We see angels here taking women that Jesus knew. See this woman here and this woman here share something. They're being taken aside, and they're going to get mixed up with angels and fornication and lots of scarlet women and lots of torture and sex trade and stuff in the future. We see Pharisees and Sadducees here in green, and they're discussing what's going on with the people who are in this temple, who are learning. And they're learning, you know, their learning is weird. If it was just Jesus there, their learning would be pure, and he'd have control kind of over, not the Zatan, but over influences, and it would be a pure teaching, because they're not pure. It's an impure teaching, and they hear things like, oblate in the temple at a certain time. We've seen dead animals and stuff being used down here, oblations being used in the temple. And they're told how to do this. This is Jesus' mother here, and with the boob out. Or this is like his sister or friend from the town, and they're becoming scarlet women. They're going to be sex slaved upon by even the Pharisees checking this shit out. See a bloody hat here. Okay, it could be also a reference to some sort of Samaritan kind of culture or something. People, I never really noticed he has the flail. That's pretty kick-ass, bringing it down. But the problem with this is, I actually know something about this. This is what I'm going to get further on to. These statues also as well are appalled. These are different in different paintings. We see different variations of these statues. Are very important because they're like the wise breathing council of this temple. It's different, you know. It's not a temple. That's what I'm saying. It's a orrery, it's a star, and it's been overrun by people all flooding in. Him getting angry here actually is a thing. So there's loads throughout the Bible of like kings who like said they were purposely trying to piss God off by like killing animals and killing women and killing innocent people, and they figured it out, it was pissing God off. But it's like when you piss God off, you get the piss of wrath, and you can get drunk off this piss of wrath, and people all over the world kill lots of children and do lots of horrible things, maiming and torture and crucifying, because they get the piss of wrath. It's like one of the vials, one of the bowls of seen in Revelations. But they actually get drunk off it like a beer kind of thing. Muslims think like beer is an abuse, and drunkenness is the punishment, the mindlessness that follows from drinking beer. So they drink this a lot, and that's why they do things to piss off. But see, Jesus here is pissed, and he comes in with the flail, and he's going to get the hell out of the temple, because it's the beginning of apocalypse. Like, it's the beginning of overrunning a temple. This is why you all confess lordship of the temple to Jesus. Jesus is Lord, because if not, then all these Babylonian merchants and anti-prophet, really, which is where this comes from, anti-prophet and its multi-headed things. This is where it starts, is the conquest or overrunning of a temple, an orrery. And it's Israel's born a lot more these days than it was through Christ. We have a lot more potential to birth Israel, and like it was a lot rarer in the times of Abraham and down to Jacob. Like that was like a heroic first tale. But so you see the way everything outside looks a bit faker and duller and crapper. It's because these temples, I've never really even been in my own, like very much like Jesus was overrun and stolen from me very early on in the days, and it's been shared and completely distributed by very powerful people all over the world and very terrible people all over the world. Rapists, murderers, psychopaths, and they're all fornicating with my loved ones, my friends, my family. They're hunting them down, they're killing them, they're giving them jobs. There's a lot of fucking movies all around this kind of stuff. But anyway, he gets angry with them. So a lot of these gypsies here actually that got shouted at or maybe got flailed or like trying to chase him out of the temple, they all went off and became kings or something like that. You know what I mean? They got smacked by Jesus or something, and they all actually they got pissed on with wrath or something. So when this is overrun, basically the temple, and they're all fornicating with the wife of the Lamb, also known as the Beast in Revelations, the home of the East. If you're not Jesus, like, and you didn't take control of the temple by like starving in the desert for 40 days, 40 nights or something like that, and coming back into Jerusalem and being badass and bold and stuff, if you get completely overrun, which it's impossible not to these days. Like, you live beyond the age of Zebekim, you're like in a very a futuristic kind of time. They've got every pop star is given a star. Every state in America was supposed to be held by a governor with a star and orrery, and he was supposed to govern over that land. But like, it turned into a Shebekim kind of thing, and Ahab and Jezebel, where you're just consuming all the people with stars, all the pop stars. Like, Walt Disney tried to protect these kind of stars and people, kids, and highlight them, and then just from highlighting them, probably they're feasted on, consumed, and debaucherized. And they kind of know about my country. Ireland was a great country to birth Israel. It was very no worry and very peaceful and very non-feudalic, and it was very naturalistic. And we've been completely set upon by the first world invasion by these monsters from America and Switzerland and all this. And a girl has got completely whacked on the other day, and it turned out she had an orrery as well. She had a heaven, and they probably whacked her and stole it from her. And there's a lot of Irish government, fucking mafias and politics and Sinn Féin are all even involved in this shit, and they're getting us killed. You know what I mean? They're fucking getting us killed. They're going out and recruiting us so you can use our fucking orreries, and then we get fucking whacked on with some Illuminatic turf war. I'm just fucking sick of it. Anyway, what the same about the wrath is, if Jesus didn't take control of his temple and maintain control of his temple, which is almost impossible to do. I don't think we ever see at a point in the history of the Bible where it actually takes the temple and controls it, because Jesus got crucified. All his main followers got their heads cut off. They were immortal. Couldn't kill them. The ones that doubted him, like Thomas, got killed by something like an arrow because he wasn't immortal. But those who believed in him were immortal, and it's very hard to fucking kill them. And it's going to be happening a lot now as well. So if he doesn't take control of the temple, which we don't even see, even David got screwed over by Saul, and probably was cheated and tormented, and Elijah the same. You see so many of them, and they end up, kind of Nostradamus kind of predicts the king will be out in a ditch somewhere crying and tormented and the shallows or something. And they'll all be screwing and fornicating with, it's the best thing ever. They'll be given things that they were not meant to see, these statues, and they'll be given understanding that they were not meant to, things to know that they were not meant to understand. That was in Revelations as well. They'll flood this temple, take control of it. They'll use it to be very powerful, very influential, and they'll hold on to it desperately. They'll bury it in ziggurats with them. They will hide in space with it. You know what I mean? And that's what's actually happening. So he'll be tormented and hiding off away, and after about 7 years of this, he'll start to wrath, because he was probably a Krishna. He was probably very gentle and very loving, but he'll actually start to wrath and absolutely have just spasm attacks, and then you'll see a lot of earthquakes, and you'll see a lot of hurricanes and shit. And I just let you know, my neck is broken because this has been going on for about a year now. I think my wrath started just when COVID started. I got stabbed in the head or smashed in the head. Everybody I walk by, they turn into an enemy, and they just attack him. I was homeless, and it was a pretty bleak situation. The bleaker it gets, the worse it gets. The closer Joseph gets to his office with Potiphar, and it just makes it all better. But he needs Jesus to save the John. This is kind of like John's temple. So John had an overrun temple, I'd imagine. A long, very long overrun temple. I imagine the 14 families of Jacob probably lost or distributed this power temple, but Jesus took all control of it and fixed that apocalypse and restarted a rebirth. And then it became a thing about hunting and taking his away from him, which ultimately Rome did, I suppose. Rome probably took Jesus' thing ultimately away from Crow. I thought they would have become something better, but I think they just did the same thing to me. They took a Scarlet Woman, Laurie was her name or something like that. She's dead now. Most of them are dead now. You know, they don't have a long life expectancy. Like I said, they get a modelling contract and they just disappear. And yeah, so this is the seed to all perdition. Right here, what's happening now, and this is why a lot of people are brain dead, and you lose the carpenter. See, these people are leaving. Angels will basically leave, is what they're saying. Not just these kind of two wise elders, but lots of angels are going to leave. So you lose like your carpenter, your musicians, your will to be loving, the bride and bridegroom, all these kind of intuitions, everything that made you special and wonderful and capable to build a world over the last 2,000 years is probably going to be removed, and you're going to be left in a very advanced looking world and very brain dead about it. And yeah, so you need to be Jesus, and you need to help save my temple. Not my temple, but the temples of people all over the world who have orreries at the moment are being conquested upon. Because when the conquest happens, the stars get all messed up. Star Wars, it's like wank wars actually, and it's Armageddon basically, because it's from one temple, and all the people within the temple are fighting. So it's Armageddon within the temple, and that leads to destruction above. Nothing can grow above, and then nothing grows below. So then you have famine and death. So you were in year 7. It must be a 14-year period. The forefathers must be 14 years. So there must be 3 years of tribulation, 7 years of the feasting on people's orreries, my orrery, Garden of Eden fruit, which they've been told how to and when to, and like a specific method on how to consume it or obtain it. And so yeah, you've death and famine and drought now, and all your lakes are disappearing and everything. And all you have to do is just really talk to me. The more people are talking, listening, and learning to me, or specifically actually is to do. I'll just talk about one more. Confession isn't about confessing your sins. If Jesus had control of this temple, he's a merciful Krishna, so it's almost like you're free to confess your sins unto a merciful Krishna, because he's understanding on all matters. If the temple isn't under control by Jesus and you don't have it, they'll still hear everyone's confessions and sins. So they can use this as a Pinkerton kind of thing very easily to, for criminality, for judges, for cops busting people. They can psychically make you confess all your sins. They can psychically confess where you keep your drug stash in your house, and they can guards and go in straight away and take it. And that's happening all over the world. This is why LA is burning, because cops are getting too powerful and too personal. And all the kids with orreries start burning them and smashing back, because they're all angels in Los Angeles. Mostly had orreries, and you can't dominate them, and that's why they burn it all down all the time. Go Los Angeles. Because if the temple doesn't have Jesus, a Krishna, kind of a good guy who doesn't care really where you've been and what you've been doing, and is very merciful and understanding with the Lord, then they'll hear all each other's sins, and it'll become a gossip house. There'll be a lot of people talking, there'll be a lot of blackmail, there'll be a lot of stuff being snitched, and a lot of things being revealed, because you don't have this guy. So when you need to confess lordship more so than anything. And then once your lordship is safe, then your sins are safe with the good Krishna. Otherwise, it's going to be an absolute gossipy, blackmaily, snitchy nightmare, because that's the way these kind of things work. People call them the Satan or something like that, because they appear cruel or nasty or snide or that, but it's just the quality of the people who are in the temple, and the temple was given alone to him. So if he just him himself, and maybe his loved ones, his welcomed attendants of his altar, were in the temple, and they were just being peaceful, then these wouldn't be like cruel or nasty or snide, or they swear, they could be pretty brutal. But she's even a lamb there, not looking too well. So yeah, it's nothing to do with confessing your sins. When you actually confess your sins to a crow, say like a priest or a bot, you actually give them a godly authority, and it's not what the original notion of confession was meant to be, a confession of lordship. What you really, really, really want to do more so, this is, I deliver you even beyond, is you need to confess lordship to the Lord, to God. You need to say God is omnipotent and knows what you've done and everything you will do. And when you confess that, you just say God knows my name. So like, say if you're anything in this world, gay people, okay, I was going to say, if you confess to the Lord, you confess that, like, God knows me, God made me this way, I know God made me this way, then that is like so much, million times better than thinking you're doing something wrong and telling a man about it. You say, alright, it doesn't matter, but yeah, that's what you need to confess lordship. So you need to just say, like, you can do it, Nicky, kick him in the balls, it's your temple. and everyone else should get out, and there should be your friends and family, and then you realise you want to be friends and family with everybody, and you'll all be actually welcome eventually in this temple. It's just the fact that it gets overrun in the beginning. It's exactly what you see in Revelations, and John says that the anti-prophet kind of thing, bad Satanism, will take a democracy over the temple, basically, and he's the beast, again, the Bechel of East, house of the East, the sun, and they'll take the power of the beast and they'll use it to become very powerful and influential, and they'll fornicate with his family and claim to be his family by direct connection, and claim his fortune. There's a massive fortune involved. Everyone's already started spending my fortune, or some sort of fortune was involved in this situation, and they've already taken it and distributed it, so they really don't want to fix it now because they're ashamed about that, and it's not important, you know. Fix it. They've destroyed the stars, they've destroyed heaven, like, they absolutely just killed it. What is before the Lord, the hand of God, was like destruction in hell, and it turns out that what is before me was a lot more than the Lord, where I used to come from. So they can and have destroyed nearly everything by virtue of the fact that the world is ignoring me and not working with me. But anyway, so yeah, it's my attempt to be it. It's not really a lecture you'd hear in Venice or Hannibal Lecter style. Oh, I have heard one of your uncle, Damien. Yeah, you tried to disembowel me, you know, World. Yeah, you tried to disembowel me. Anyway, so yeah, you don't want this. You don't want politicians in the temple. They'll all have it, and it's going to be hard. I don't know, we need some Muslims, really, or some kick-ass ninja Jews to step in and fix it. But, yeah. Otherwise, good day, Clarice.